So, welcome to another How To Tuesday. Today we're going to talk about stockinette stitch. So, if you're new to my channel, I'm Aurelia Noire. I'm the resident witch and creatrix over to Radia's Hand and Janae's Divine, where I create myth, magic, and meaning for your everyday life through art, intuition, and energy work. And I'm doing a small series on exploring stitch patterns, and it's time to talk about stockinette. So, I've already put together one on garter stitch, and I will have one on reverse stockinette after this one is recorded. So you can check the description below, and those will be linked, as well as a link to my larger knitting playlist and the exploring stitch patterns playlist itself. So, as we discussed with garter stitch is probably the first stitch that you learn to make, because all you need to know how to do is knit. With stockinette, you need to be able to knit and purl, because that is how you get this single knit-sided fabric. So, this is also by far one of the most recognizable stitch patterns. You know, you will see this and people generally are like, oh yeah, that's knitting, and that's because the V's are very distinct, and that's your tip off. And what you'll need is yarn and needles. And some other things to know about this is, as you can see, I've got some curling going on right here, right? The thing about stockinette is that it curls. And a lot of times it'll curl on the sides, and the only reason this isn't curling on the sides yet is because it's only about an inch from the needle total. And it's also a very stiff yarn, and my gauge, as you can see, is pretty tight. Those stitches are not loose. So this is like a terrible drape. You wouldn't want a shirt or a sweater made out of this. But yeah, as you can see, it's already trying to curl, and that's the nature of it. So a lot of times when you are working with something with stockinette, either you're going to accept that it's going to curl, or you're going to add another border, or some garter stitch, or some seed or moss stitch, or I think even some linen stitch will do it. And as you can see, it applies to things that are that you bought knit. These arm warmers are all knit stitches, and you can see it's curling up. So, without further ado, I've got 6 rows done. I'm going to work 4 more so you can see both sides of how it's worked. This is the right side of the work, and you can tell because the tail is on the right side. And so what you'll do is, on the knit side, you will knit all the knits, and on the purl side, you will purl all the purls, and that's how you keep everything nice and even. So, and I'll also link below, I am knitting Continental, so the yarn is in my non-dominant hand, and combination my way, which is the way in which the stitches are formed. So this also makes for some pretty good mindless knitting, as long as you don't forget, you know, which side you're on. It's not too terribly bad. I will say it does get boring. The boring stuff makes for good mindless knitting. Personally, I like the look of stockinette, but not my favorite to make by and large. Alright, so gotten our next row knit. Now we've got to turn the work around, and we're going to be purling across. And a lot of people who don't like purling end up preferring garter stitch, because that means they don't have to purl. I don't mind purling so much. I found a way to make it easier. When you're working stockinette, you just cast on the amount of stitches you need. I casted on 20 for this, so it was wide enough for you to get a good visual, but not so much that it took forever to work everything. Alright, so all of those stitches are purled. Go to the front again, knit across. Closer so you can see better. So you insert this needle, run over, just do that over, over. Alright, so we've got another knit row. Now it's time for our last purl. Our stockinette will be finished for right now. And I will have this up here so you can see a better close-up of how I do it. And then there's our last purl row. And so there you go. You got some nice stockinette. It's nice and it's neat. And the stitches are real even, and that is totally helped by the fact that I'm using cotton, which gives great stitch definition. So I would love to hear from you. Have you done stockinette stitch before? Did you like it? And do you have another stitch pattern that is an old faithful that you prefer? So until we talk again, I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful evening, and toodles! Happy knitting!